welcome to today's episode of the Bridge is Over podcast. I'm your host, Jeff White. Um, so about 24 hours into Chelsea bringing into the new year, only way that Chelsea can by sacking Enzo Maresca, which is absolutely crazy at this point. So many things to say about this. The thing that's bothered me the most is at this point right now, I don't believe that Blueco have any idea of what they're doing. And this is the first time that I will admit this on the record because I've always been hopeful of what they would do to Chelsea, similar to what I've seen them do to the Dodgers. And it just does not seem to be the case. It seems like a completely different management structure, but we'll get into that. In the club's official release, they state that with key objectives still to play for across four competitions, including qualification for Champions League football. Enzo and the club believe a change gives the team the best chance of getting the season back on track. Part of that is true. Part of that is, I think they were both sick and tired of each other. Very frustrating. I'm just going to go through a couple of thoughts that I've been having about this ever since I started hearing the rumblings since our 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Well, actually, it's even dates back to our loss against Atalanta. So let's see. Bottom line up front. So truthfully, since December, the results haven't been good enough. Lost to Leeds, tied Bournemouth twice, lost to Atalanta, won against Everton, won against Cardiff in the EFL Cup, tied Newcastle, lost to Villa. And then the way that we lost those games and the way that we tied those games, very frustrating to watch. So I believe that's 6 points that we've gained out of 18 in the Premier League since the beginning of the month. So Maresca went from being manager of the month in November to 6 points out of 18. And look, I know December is a busy month of the year. I know that the big clubs always drop points. But 6 points out of 18 isn't good enough. And you could already tell that there was a disconnect going on between the board and Maresca. So, Maresca didn't do himself any favors with that comment that he made on the 13th, expressing his frustration. And that was the worst 48 hours that he's had as a manager, right? He was literally taking he was taking shots at the board. And that was never going to end well for him. He's not that class of manager who could do that. He's not Guardiola. He's not Jose. He's not Ancelotti. And those guys could only do that when they were winning. Maresca, you just had a terrible month, to be honest with you, for a Chelsea squad. So for me, that kind of was the beginning of the end. Now, if he had won a bunch of points for the rest of December, the board would have tolerated it. But with the results that we've seen, no, absolutely not. There was rumors of disagreements with the medical department. Now, apparently the medical department is completely separate from Chelsea. So they're independent. They don't give suggestions to the coach. What they say rules supreme. And so I think Maresca was getting frustrated with the fact that when he subs Cole Palmer off, that the crowd's booing him, but he's probably having to do it because the medical team gave him a minutes restriction on how many hours or how many minutes that Cole Palmer can play. And, it's happened the past couple of games. You can see that, definitely with Reece James. So I think he was frustrated with that. And I don't believe that's how it's done at every club. So I think that was his frustration as well. And our hierarchy never came out to say anything to back him regarding that. So they left him to, bear the brunt. Look, at the beginning of the season, he wasn't back like he should have been. He won the EFL Cup, won the FIFA Club Championship Cup, whatever that's called. And when Levi Colwell goes down with his ACL injury, he wanted a center back. I think a lot of us were clamoring for them to go get Bastoni, which would have been fantastic, and he didn't. So now we're stuck with Batty Shield, who was terrible, should not be playing. Um, Axel Disase, who should never be on Chelsea at all. I'm surprised he still um, has a jersey number there. Trevor Shalaba, at best a squad player. At best a squad player, but more than likely a backup player. And Wesley Fofana, who's always injury prone. And Tosin, I think he's great for the locker room, but he's not someone that we should be relying upon week in, week out. So out of all of our center backs, we don't have any really starters. Fofana, if he was healthy and he was, 5 years ago, the way he played at Leicester before he broke his leg, yeah, but we don't really have any world-class top-level center backs. And for a squad like Chelsea, that is not good enough. So manager wasn't backed. I also don't think the manager was back from a striker's perspective. João Pedro, as he shows signs that, hey, he can be really good, but I think the most amount of goals that he scored in the Premier League before he came here was 6. So now we're playing him in between the 9 and the 10, depending. And Liam Delap is trash. And I hate to say that. I hate to talk that ill about players, but when you have more cards than you have goals, he doesn't even look like he's going to come close to score. But he always looks like he's going to get that petulant foul in to get himself carded. I don't believe from the way that he plays him, that was definitely not someone that he was wanted to sign. And for as much as I was clamoring about Nicholas Jackson leaving the club because my man misses chances that 6-year-old Barry, at least he was getting in positions to actually score. At least he was getting 15, 16, 17 goals a season. Even with his decision-making being as poor as it's been. So from my perspective, he wasn't back there either. So now I understand the Maresca standpoint, but I also don't think Maresca did himself any favors. And I don't want to get into the whole Stewart with Stanley, the Bowley, Egbali, not during this podcast. That's a conversation for another day. The club structure is the club structure, and they've made that quite clear on their player recruitment, who they're getting, the type of player they want, the age of the player they want, the contracts of the player that they want. So that's been clear. And Maresca signed up for that. So he knew what he was getting into before he came. I think that because he had a little bit of success, I believe that he wanted to have more say-so in player recruitment. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him. Their old adages always say, if I'm going to be the chef, I should be able to buy the groceries. And apparently he wasn't. So, but I also don't think he did himself any favors. His over-reliance on Neto and Garnacho is unbelievable to me. I mean, I think a blind man can show you that Estavo was so much better than Neto. He was giving their fullbacks fits. And then especially in the first half when he can come in on his left foot. Now, Garnacho, he shows up in places to score, but misses so many opportunities. And then partially responsible for both goals against Bournemouth. I mean, throw-in comes in from the left side, from left to right. That's from the right side, the first goal. And 3 center backs around one striker. One striker wins the ball. Or maybe Bournemouth center back. Flicks it onto the back post. Garnacho not watching his man, tap into the back post. So what happens? Later on in the first half, same exact play, other side of the field. Long throw in this case, Trevor Shalaba wins the ball, but decides to do a perfect flick on to the back post. Garnacho, not watching his man once again, tap in at the back post. And then he's pounding the ground like it's everybody else's fault. No, you got to play both sides of the ball. I mean, that's just the way it is. He's not that good, and he's not good enough to be that level of luxury. So to me, he didn't even demand a starting role at Man United. and all of a sudden he's a guaranteed starter for the most part at Chelsea. If that's the case, then that just shows how bad player recruitment is, because Gittins doesn't seem, to me, Gittins is Madueke, except he plays on the other side of the field. He likes to get the ball at his feet. He likes to run at people. He likes to take people on. But his final product is not mature enough for a club like Chelsea. He's more of a developmental player. And for 65 million that we paid for him for a developmental player, I don't understand that. So yeah, sure, he flashes, but he doesn't have the level of consistency. So for everything that we criticize Madueke about, we go and get the same thing on the other side of the pitch. So we have no consistency on the left side. Cole Palmer being out. And then on the right side of the pitch, I mean, Estavo to me is miles better than Neto. But he loves Neto. He loves Enzo Fernandez. And yep, I know this is a taboo talking point, but for me, Enzo Fernandez is becoming more and more of a luxury player. Great goal against Bournemouth, great goal. But then in the second half, he had the same exact opportunity, probably easier because his first touch was great. And he hits it over the net from 12 yards out. He's not clinical as a finisher. He's not great defensively, although when I see him play for Argentina, he plays much harder defensively. But so the over reliance on Caicedo is, that's why he gets in so many yellow cards, probably because one, he plays a little bit out of control, but two, he's probably covering a lot of ground because Enzo's nowhere to be found. I mean, the amount of passages of play where I don't see Enzo at all, and then he'll pop up, and he loves to make those late breaking runs into the box to finish goals, which is great when he does. But that disguises a lot of the ineptitude that I see from him for large parts of the game. So, yeah, I don't think Maresca did himself any favors with how he handled the media, with his selection of players, and his over reliance on players who, really haven't come good. So I think that's a little bit on him. So you win the Conference League, you win the FIFA Club World Cup, but then you go through spells where you're playing players and everyone can see these aren't the players that should be playing. So now it's just a matter of whether or not the recruitment is giving him players that can actually fit into what we need. So, I'm looking at this and I just don't understand what Chelsea and what the hierarchy are actually thinking. So one, they're going to have to select a new manager. And we're not going to get any elite manager. There's no Ancelotti, no Jose Mourinho. They're not coming to Chelsea. They're not going to come to Chelsea, especially with the way that we run things right now. They're not coming to Chelsea. So no Antonio Conte's, no Thomas Tuchel's. They're not coming to Chelsea. Why would they? You're not going to be able to get the players that you want in order to be the Chelsea that we all want Chelsea to be. So, so people that are linked to the position right now, Xavi Hernandez, which I don't see ever happening. Oliver Glasner from Crystal Palace. He's okay. He wouldn't be what I consider a Chelsea manager. And then right now the leader in the clubhouse, according to all the betting books I've seen, Liam Rosenier from Strasbourg, which obviously would be an easy pickup for Chelsea. The problem that I have with that is not long after Conte left, he was on an interview where he was criticizing the Chelsea board for not backing Conte and the players that he wanted. And this is right before we signed Sarri. So, and he was very critical. Let's also add, the last time he coached in English football, he got sacked at Hull City. So, and now he's going to somehow be the savior for Chelsea, when especially we need to make top 5 to guarantee Champions League football. That has to be our aim at this point. for someone who hasn't had success in English football, and that's who you're going to have to get us to make the top five. I don't know. I think we could end up going backwards. So, and then the last one, which is one that's kind of intriguing to me, Cesc Fabregas. He obviously knows the English game. He's learned from some of the best tacticians in the game. Uh, would he be the right fit with this board, and would this board back him? So I think he could be the right fit with these players. I'm not sure if the board would back him because they haven't backed anybody else. So, I mean, I just don't see it. And then, so add to that, in January, we have 9 games in 27 days. So it doesn't matter the manager you bring in. There's not going to be a lot of time on a training ground to implement the systems that you want. So on average, a game every 3 days, we are going to be moving backwards. This is very bad timing to sack a manager. Very bad timing. So, we're not going to have a manager come Sunday against Man City. Rumor has it that we'll have a manager shortly thereafter. But is this really the direction that you want to go? Because this new person is not going to have a chance to implement anything. 9 games in 27 days, that's a lot. And that can absolutely make or break our season. So 9 games, 27 days across 4 competitions. It's a very tough position to be in. And for someone who, spent the last few years out in Strasbourg in the French league, which is very different than the English Premier League. So again, at this point, we just need someone who's going to get us into the top 5. I wanted to make this video yesterday, but I was tight. I was hot, man. I don't understand the logic as much as Maresca frustrated me. I don't know if the board made an emotional decision and decided to get rid of him. That, to me, this was not in the best interest of Chelsea Football Club. So if you can't handle your emotions to the point where it's negatively impacting what we're doing for the football club, then you're not in the right position. Like, you got to put your ego aside. And it seems like our hierarchy is having an issue doing that. I guess my last point is the reason why I was happy about Blue Co is because I saw what they did with the Dodgers. Right? The Dodgers have always been a big franchise, but for the past, I would say, before 2010, maybe before 2020, they were always big, and they had been big in the 80s and the 90s, but they were kind of like sleeping giants. And then they went out and they invested in the team, right? They spent big money on, let's got some contracts here. Clayton Kershaw's 7 years, $215 million contract in 2014, largest contract to a pitcher at that time. After that, he got a 3-year, $93 million contract, a 1-year, $20 million contract. So they traded for Mookie Betts, 12 years, $365 million. That was big contract. Freddie Freeman, 6 years, $162 million in 2022. Shohei Ohtani, who at the time signed a then record 10-year, $700 million contract. And that was in 2023. They signed the pitcher Yamamoto, 12-year, $325 million contract in 23. They signed pitcher Blake Snell, 5-year, $182 million contract in 24. See, these aren't young, unproven players, right? These are players who have a proven history. They have the pedigree needed to win championships. So when I see what they did with the Dodgers, where they went and, I guess they had some talent, but they surrounded that by proven commodities. That's what I was hoping that I see from Chelsea. Go get a Bastoni for a center back and partner him with Levi Colwell when he's healthy. Go get a legit striker, right? Osman. Like, the fact that we didn't go get him, who's a proven commodity year after year, that He's got the physical ability and the technical ability to put goals, to put the ball in the back of the net. And then we get Liam Delap. Are you serious? Like that? He is a good mid-table striker for the Premier League, or bottom, relegation battler striker for a Premier League team. This probably goes from the Joe Shields and the connection from Man City, which is why it seems like a lot of the recruitment is coming from. But, I was hoping that I'd see Blueco do what Roman did. Hey, we have a good core. We're buying some young players, but at the same time, we're buying the people who are going to actually impact the game. We're going to buy Jogba, who's going to be hellacious to every center back in the Premier League. But we got Frank Lampard when he was young. We brought John Terry up through the youth ranks. And then you bring in the Arjun Robin, right? You bring in a Michael Ballack and Michael Essien, a Claude Macaulay. Like, you're bringing in talented, proven players. And the point was, we played to win championships. And right now we're handling this more as we are a club existing to make money. And this is not what Roman did. Even the sporting directors are, they're from clubs that they had a very sustainable model where, they're going to buy young players and hope they pan out. And a lot of times when they pan out, they sold them. That's not the Chelsea model. 5-10 years ago, let's say 10 years ago, we used to get criticized because of all the young talent that we brought in and the amount that didn't make it to the first team, and then we'd sell them all. And they called it our traveling army, the amount of people that we loaned out. Okay, but that worked for us. But now we have just a bunch of young players and we're not doing anything with them. Some are developing. Okay, so you got Cole Palmer. That's great. You got Casiero. That's great. And you got Estavo. That's great. I think Kendrick Paez will be a good addition to the squad as well. I'm excited to see what Isago will do. But again, these are players that we're purchasing more based on potential than the ability to actually change games right now. Like proven commodities, people have been through the wars that will bring us to the next level in the Premier League. But I think I saw a stat the other day. We're closer to 17 than we are to Arsenal. That's ridiculous for a club like Chelsea. I remember seeing an interview with Thierry Henry when he was talking about Arsenal, and they keep building, and he's like, that building's very tall now, because we're about to be in the same position where we keep building and we keep building and we keep building, but what are we building towards? We're just like, at some point the building has to be complete, and the team needs to bring the goods, and we're not seeing that. So I'm very disappointed with the way that this team is structured, the way that we are purchasing players, unproven players, and then hoping they pan out. And if they don't, we loan them out, and then we try to sell them for a profit, and everyone's happy. Oh, look, our P&L looks great. Hey, we spent $2 billion on players over the past 5 years, but we sold like $1.8 billion worth of players, so we're in great position. Yeah, that sounds great. That balances the books. It doesn't win anything. The fact that we won that FIFA Club Championship, I think, gave us a false idea of where we actually are. But you need proven players, and we don't have it. We don't have proven players. We don't have a strong spine to the team. We don't have center backs. We don't have a world-class center back. We don't have, I love Casiero. Whether you're really big on Enzo Fernandez or not, both of them are under 6 feet. What was Jose's rule? You had to have at least six players that were 6 feet tall or higher on the pitch at all times. So this is why, We get killed on set pieces repeatedly, over and over and over again. And then keep going up the spine. You don't have that world class striker. So our team, with the amount of money we've spent, in my opinion, we are no better than we were probably 2 years ago. Yeah, we've gotten Cole Palmer from it, great. We've got Casiero from it, great. But look at all the other players that we've bought. That David Fofana's gone. The Murrayera's gone. Like David Washington. Like we've bought so many of these players based on potential that they were never going to contribute to the first team. So I just think we're in a bad place right now. Hold on tight, boys and girls. It's maybe a long season, and we could end up going backwards extremely quickly. Um, I'm concerned about who they're going to sign for the new manager. In my opinion, they're going to bring in a yes man, and I don't see that yes man being able to make the necessary changes to Chelsea Football Club that we need. So this is going to be a tough one. This was a tough December, and I think January is going to be every bit as tough, if not worse. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. But I just wanted to get on here and record this. Yesterday, I was a little bit too angry to record this based on what I was seeing, based on what I was hearing. I think the timing was awful. I think this was all emotional based. And as much as I did like Maresca with some of the things that he did with the slow build up of play, some of how we played, some of that is on him, but some of that is on the hierarchy of the club. And that's, what I could spend probably an hour talking about the misalignment, I'll say, with the hierarchy and how they feel the team, how Chelsea should be run, and how 99% of the fans think Chelsea should be run because that's how it's been run for as long as Roman was in place. So, yeah, that's it for today, boys and girls. Just wanted to go ahead and put this on where I have a little bit more cool of a head. But let me know your thoughts.